Magnum PI, definitely one of the coolest TV shows to come out of the 80s, where each episode we would follow the exploits of the awesome, tash-wearing masculinity that is Tom Celic, who played Thomas Magnum, a private investigator living in Oahu, Hawaii, who, armed with his red Ferrari and never-ending supply of Hawaiian shirts, would keep audiences coming back for 8 whole years thanks to his awesomely laid-back attitude and likability and charm, along with unique tropical location. However, despite the fact that Magnum PI has become part of 1980s iconography, an easily recognizable part of that decade's landscape, does that mean there aren't still some secrets hidden, lurking, and just waiting to be discovered? So I got this DVD box set of Magnum PI, and damn, this thing is not a box set, this is a weapon. This is a huge brick. If anyone breaks into your home and you throw this at them, they're gonna know about it. So with that, 10 things that you didn't know about Magnum PI, let's check it out.
Good morning, sir.
Guns don't work on Sunday.
Number 10. Magnum PI was initially cancelled before it even started. Yep, we've only just started this countdown, and Magnum PI is already facing cancellation. Yep, this one's definitely off to a rocky start, to say the least. Okay, so here's what happened. Magnum PI was the co-creation of TV producer and writer Glenn A. Larson, whom had also been at the helm of many other popular TV shows, including Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Quincy M.E., and of course the legendary Knight Rider. It would have been about 1979 when Larson was in the development stages for Magnum PI for Universal Television, with it to be produced by the TV network station ABC. When not only did ABC pull the plug on the development of Magnum PI, but the broadcast station also cancelled 2 other shows that Larson had created that the channel was broadcasting. Those being the as mentioned Battlestar Galactica and the Hardy Boys / Nancy Drew Mysteries. It is said that ABC cancelled these shows in order to try and boost ratings. However, the opposite happened, and the station would go on to suffer a huge drop in ratings, which would take years for the station to recover from. Larson claimed that ABC would have cancellation remorse and really regret this decision. But regardless, Larson took his Magnum PI idea to fellow network CBS, and thankfully they didn't fall out of the idiot tree and hit every branch on the way down and agreed to greenlight Magnum PI. Their gain and ABC's loss. Number 9. The original premise was James Bond in Hawaii. ScreenRant.com offers a really interesting piece of information where they explain that the original premise of the character Thomas Magnum was to be a perfect, suave James Bond-style character. One who's flawless, gets all the women swooning for him while he drinks vodka martinis and wears tuxedos. Basically, the character was James Bond, the PI version who lives in Hawaii. However, when Tom Celic was cast in the role of Thomas Magnum, he wanted to change the premise of Magnum of being like James Bond to instead make him more of a casual everyman. You know, laid back. Chills out while wearing a Hawaiian shirt, while unapologetically rocking a big bushy moustache. Basically someone that the viewers can really relate to. I mean, don't get me wrong, James Bond is cool, but there aren't too many James Bonds out there, with Celic requesting for the character to be less Bond and more like Jim Rockford from the Rockford Files. The writers at first didn't like this proposed change in the character, but went with it anyway, and the show of course became the hit that it was. In addition to that, despite the fact that Magnum PI's red Ferrari would become iconic to the point where sales of Ferraris would skyrocket, it was originally intended to have Thomas Magnum drive around in a Porsche. But in order for Celic to fit in the Porsche, modifications had to be made. But back then, Porsche had a no modification policy with their cars. So Ferrari it was, who were happy to slice and dice up their cars a bit in order for Tom Selleck to fit in comfortably. So every once in a while you're laying in bed and can't sleep at night, just remember, Thomas Magnum could have been a Hawaiian-based James Bond who drives around in a Porsche. Number 8. Tom Selleck could have been Indiana Jones after all. Okay, so by now we've all seen the Indiana Jones 2004 DVD documentary, where we learn that Tom Selleck was originally cast to play Indiana Jones. Now this insane piece of what-if casting was done shortly after Selleck had just been cast as Magnum PI. In fact, he hadn't yet done any filming for Magnum PI when Selleck would win Steven Spielberg and George Lucas over with his screen test for Indiana Jones. However, once he was cast as Indiana Jones, Universal got involved and said, "Oh no you don't, Buster. If you think you've got any plans of being a swashbuckling archaeologist, then think again." Yep, Selleck was basically told that he was not to play Indiana Jones due to filming commitments, of which he was already scheduled for to play Magnum PI. So Selleck had to drop out of the Indiana Jones role, which then went to Harrison Ford. However, as it happens, at the time when filming for Magnum PI was to start, there was actually an Actors Guild strike taking place, which temporarily put a stop to the production of Magnum PI, which meant that Selleck could have starred as Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark after all. Damn, that's gotta suck. Oh well, he would still go on to have a massive success with Magnum PI, and in 1985 would win a Golden Globe for his performance as Thomas Magnum. So that ain't bad, that's pretty darn good. Number 7. Magnum PI recycles sets from Hawaii Five-0. Most of Magnum PI was shot on location in Oahu, Hawaii, which is an island known for its luscious tropical rainforests and amazing white sandy beaches. Wait, did I just quote the guy from Jaws? With its scenery making the place look nothing short of a tropical paradise. Additional filming was done at Honolulu, Hawaii, and Waimanalo Beach, also in Hawaii, and even sound stages at studios in California were also used. Now, the very year that Magnum PI made its debut, another very successful show had just finished, that of course being the Hawaiian-based police drama Hawaii Five-0. Now, the network didn't want the Hawaii Five-0 sound stages and set pieces to go to waste, so they would indeed be recycled for Magnum PI. In fact, there are some claims that Magnum PI got its tropical Hawaiian setting in order to use the Hawaii Five-0 sets. And there are even several times throughout the Magnum PI series that the Five-0 would be mentioned, suggesting a shared universe. There apparently were even attempts to get Jack Lord, who starred in Hawaii Five-0, to guest star in Magnum PI as his iconic Steve Garrett character, but he turned it down. Number 6. Shared universes. Although it's really common for franchises to have shared universes these days, Magnum PI was really ahead of its time and was already exploring shared universes all the way back in the early 80s. Not only does Magnum PI have a shared universe with Hawaii Five-0 as mentioned, but also Murder, She Wrote, as Magnum would team up with Angela Lansbury's Jessica Fletcher character in the 1986 Magnum PI episode Novel Connection, and in turn Thomas Magnum would appear in the Murder, She Wrote episode Magnum on Ice. I just find Magnum PI to be crossing over with Murder, She Wrote to just be so delightfully random. In 1982, AJ and Rick Simon from Simon & Simon would appear in the Magnum PI episode Keys Don't Lie, and likewise in return Magnum would appear in the Simon & Simon episode Emeralds Are Not a Girl's Best Friend. But what I find to be the most fascinating crossover sadly never happened, but by gosh I really wish that it did, as that would have been a crossover with the science fiction TV series Quantum Leap. which would have seen Sam Beckett take on the form of Thomas Magnum at his location in Hawaii, which would have been phenomenal. This would have led to a follow-up episode featuring both Magnum and Beckett, but I guess things got a little caca, and the idea didn't end up going forward. But just think about that for a moment. Magnum PI has a shared universe with Hawaii Five-0, Murder, She Wrote, Simon & Simon, and possibly Quantum Leap too. That's awesome! Number 5. Famous guest stars. Now, Magnum PI features a lineup of regular likeable characters, including Larry Manetti as Orville Rick Wright, Roger E. Mosley as Theodore T.C. Calvin, and John Hillerman as Jonathan Higgins, of which in 1987, Hillerman would win an Emmy before his performance as Higgins. In the show's earlier days, the voice of the mysterious but important Robin Masters was provided by none other than Orson Welles, with Magnum PI being one of Welles' final performances. Well, even though it was just voice work, but still. Throughout Magnum PI's original broadcast history, the show would see several celebrity guest stars, including, but not limited to, Frank Sinatra, Cesar Romero, Sharon Stone, Ian McShane, Ted Danson, Mako, Patrick McNee, Phil Hartman, Pat Morita, James Doohan, Amy Yazbek, Scatman Crothers, Miguel Ferrer, Annie Potts, Julian Glover, former TV Spider-Man Nicholas Hammond, and the 5th Doctor himself, Peter Davison, and many, many more. So as you can see, there was a huge and random lineup of guest stars and the kitchen sink. Number 4. Uplifting Vietnam Vets. Magnum PI is famous for many things: its intriguing stories, action, and interesting likeable characters. However, something else the show has become famous for was its positive representation of Vietnam vets, often being cited as the first piece of entertainment to do so, with Thomas Magnum himself even being a vet. Now, at that time, the Vietnam War was still relatively recent and considered quite a sensitive topic, with Vietnam vets often being depicted in the media as damaged, volatile, and even murderous psychos. And the world of entertainment was no different, what with classic movies like The Deer Hunter and Apocalypse Now, which, although are classics, did succumb to this stereotype. Heck, round about the time Magnum PI started, the movie First Blood came out, where Sylvester Stallone plays Vietnam vet Rambo, and pretty much destroys an entire town. But nope, in Magnum PI we get Thomas Magnum, who's living his best life and rocking his Hawaiian shirts, and is depicted as a normal, mentally adjusted guy who is both likable and even able to apply some of his Vietnam War skills to his current work. So to a lot of people, it was kind of a relief for Magnum PI to show Vietnam vets as normal people able to lead positive lives. And of course, a few years after Magnum PI started, this trend would follow in suit with the A-Team, in which the Murdoch character could probably be seen as a mockery or spoof of the damaged and deranged vet stereotype. But okay, we've gotten into another TV show, and I've already made an episode on the A-Team, so you should watch that. Number 3. The show's theme was a massive success. Yep, it's an action-packed TV show from the 80s that can mean only one thing: it's bound to have a truly awesome theme song, which of course Magnum PI did. Now, the show originally had a completely different theme tune, one by composer Ian Fairbairn Smith, who previously won a Grammy for his work on the Barbra Streisand song Evergreen. And his Magnum PI theme sounds very 70s-ish, with it sounding more like music that you would hear in The Love Boat. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's fine, but it was decided that this theme just wasn't right for the show, and just didn't have the catchy hook that the production were looking for. So legendary TV composer Mike Post was brought in to work his magic and create a new theme for Magnum PI. Honestly, Post may have had a black belt when it comes to creating TV themes, as he created many memorable, catchy TV tunes, including the theme for the A-Team, The Greatest American Hero, Quantum Leap, Doogie Howser MD, and Law & Order, among many, many others. His Magnum PI score does have a disco flair about it, but it's also very energetic and really catchy. And thus this song became the Magnum PI anthem, and everyone loved it and instantly associated the show with this theme. In fact, going back to Screen Rant, the theme was so well loved and embraced by the public, in 1982 it entered number 25 on the Hot 100 Billboard charts. So not only were fans of the show enjoying the luxury of seeing Magnum PI on the small screen, but also listening to its catchy, funky theme tune on the radio, proving the huge effect this show had in its time. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a rise in Hawaiian shirts being purchased too. Number 2. Cancellation. Magnum PI made its small screen debut in December the 11th, 1980, just 3 days after the murder of John Lennon. And it was successful, with its first season bringing in an average of 21 million viewers. However, Magnum PI really reached its A-game with its third and fourth seasons in 1982 and 1983, with those seasons having an average of 22.5 million viewers, with the show reaching the number 3 to number 6 slot of most watched program. However, by season 6 there was a massive drop in viewings, with it overall, on average, reaching 14.6 million viewers, with Magnum PI now being the 46th most watched show. In order to try and increase views, Tom Celic was now also the show's producer, and the show was moved from Thursday night to Wednesday, but this apparently made the views even worse, as it just couldn't compete with The Cosby Show, which was being broadcast on NBC. Then finally, Season 8 would be the last season, with the final episode being broadcast on May the 1st, 1988. After all, the views were continuing to plummet, with the viewing averages now being 14.4. And so just like that, Magnum PI had now wrapped up. But I actually see it as a triumph, as the show did last 8 years and 8 seasons, with 162 episodes. So it was a very successful TV show, shown throughout most of the 1980s, which made it an instant staple of that era and one of the most celebrated and most well-loved TV shows of all time.
So that's it! End of the show, right? Wrong!
Number 1. Failed movie and revived series. Not too long after Magnum PI's initial cancellation, there was already attempts to bring Magnum PI back, but in the form of a movie, where in the early 90s, novelist Tom Clancy wrote a script for a Magnum PI movie, which was to see Thomas Magnum return to the Navy and go on further adventures. Clancy is probably best known for his literary creation, Jack Ryan, and Tom Selleck was up for returning. However, Universal Pictures just didn't have any faith in the movie, so it didn't get made, and instead Selleck would go on to make Quigley Down Under. However, Magnum PI did return in a reboot series in 2018. And oh my god, what rock have I been living under? I have literally never heard of this till now. Like, what's going on? Okay, maybe it only lasted a couple of episodes, and that's why I've never heard of it. Well, no, the Magnum PI remake lasted 5 seasons, consisting of 96 episodes. Okay, seriously, what is going on here? Like, what's next? I'm gonna find out there was a modern MacGyver remake too?
Oh god, oh! I guess I've just crossed dimensions and entered the Magnum PI and MacGyver reboot reality. Oh, jeez.
In the remake series, Friday Night Lights actor Jay Hernandez plays Thomas Magnum. Now, I can't say if he's any good or not, as I've never seen it. And this new series did what the older series wanted to do, have a Hawaii Five-0 crossover with the Hawaii Five-0 remake. Was it any good? I don't know, as I've never seen it. The show got mixed reviews, and it was felt that it couldn't compare to its iconic original, but its flashy action was praised. So, was the action any good? Once again, I don't know, I've never seen it. The show was cancelled recently because of a licensing disagreement between CBS and Universal Television. But all that aside, we'll always have the original brilliant show, and it's perfect the way that it is. It's fun, exciting, and full of heart and spirit, in a more upbeat, optimistic time. They can make as many remakes and reboots as they like, and some of them may even be good, but sometimes all you need is Tom Celic with his mantash and Hawaiian shirt driving around in his red Ferrari. Perfect.
So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I hope there were maybe some things that you didn't know about. I think if they were to bring Magnum PI back again, then why not bring Tom Selleck back as an older Thomas Magnum? Oh, but then again, given Hollywood's current track record, they'll probably make him a lonely, bitter old man who's an alcoholic and has become a failure in life, who needs a younger, completely unlikable and smug character to come in and save the day. Anyway, I'm Minty. And come on, don't look at me like that. You know it's true. You know they would totally do that. See ya!